You were never ordinary. Stop for a second. Just stop. Because what I'm about to tell you has been buried for centuries, hidden from people exactly like you. And if you feel deep in your chest that your life was supposed to mean something more, this message found you for a reason. Not by accident, not by the algorithm, by design. There is a thread running through your blood, an ancient current, a frequency so rare that most people walk their entire lives never feeling it, but you feel it, don't you? That persistent pull, that unshakable knowing, that voice that whispers, you are not like them. You were right. You were never meant to fit in. You were built to stand out in ways that haven't even been revealed to you yet. Because the bloodline you carry, it doesn't come from ordinary people. It comes from survivors, from seers, from those who faced the impossible and became impossible to break. Your ancestors were not background characters in history. They were the ones history tried to erase. And here you are, still standing, still searching, still burning with something the world cannot name. That feeling in your chest right now, that is the echo of every warrior, every prophet, every silent revolutionary who carried your name before you even existed. Your tomb has been empty for too long. It's time to walk out. And by the end of this video, you will never see yourself the same way again. If this already feels like it was written for you, drop the word bloodline in the comments right now and subscribe, because what's coming next will shake something awake inside you. Part 1. The wound that marked you was never an accident. You didn't choose your pain, but your pain chose you with precision. Think about every hard thing you've ever survived, every moment you were supposed to break, but somehow didn't. Every door that slammed in your face, every person who doubted you, every night you cried into silence and wondered, why me? Here is the truth they never taught you. The wound is the initiation. In every ancient tradition, in every culture that understood sacred power, the chosen ones were never identified by their comfort. They were identified by their suffering, by how they moved through fire and came out changed, not destroyed, changed. You were marked early. Maybe it was a childhood that asked too much of you. Maybe it was loss that came before you had the language to process it. Maybe it was years of feeling invisible in rooms full of people. That wasn't random cruelty from the universe. That was the forge, and you were the metal being shaped. Blacksmiths don't heat iron because they hate it. They heat it because they're turning it into something that can hold an edge, something that can withstand pressure, something that can last for generations. You were heated, you were hammered, you were cooled and reheated again, and you are still here. That alone is extraordinary. Do you understand that? Most people shatter. Most people numb out. Most people choose the comfortable lie over the painful truth and spend their entire lives sleeping with their eyes open. But not you. You kept feeling. You kept searching. You kept asking the questions that had no easy answers because something inside you refused to accept the surface version of reality. That refusal is a bloodline trait. Your ancestors had it. The one who survived the famine, the one who crossed the ocean with nothing but a name and a prayer, the one who stood up when everyone else kneeled, the one who kept a secret flame burning through the darkest century of their people. They passed it to you, not in your DNA alone, in your spirit, and the wound was the first sign that you were carrying something worth protecting.
Part 2. Why you have always felt different. Let me ask you something honest. Have you always felt slightly outside? Like you were watching life through a window while everyone else was already inside? Like conversations moved too fast or too shallow for what you actually needed? Like you could feel the mood of a room the second you walked in, and sometimes it was almost too much to carry? That is not a flaw. That is a gift that hasn't been named yet. The chosen ones have always been the sensitive ones, the ones who feel too deeply for a world that rewards numbness. The ones who see through performance, through pretense, through the polished surface of things into the hollow space underneath. People called it being too much. They were wrong. You were too much for small things. You were built for something larger. And the discomfort of not fitting was never a sign that you were broken. It was the sign that you were calibrated for a different frequency entirely. Think about the people throughout history who changed everything. They were never the popular ones in their time. They were the outcasts, the ones considered strange, difficult, intense, inconvenient. They made people uncomfortable because truth always makes comfort uncomfortable. You have made people uncomfortable, not because you're wrong, because you're real in a world addicted to illusion. And here's what the bloodline carries: an inability to fully surrender to lies. Your body rejects inauthenticity like a fever rejecting infection. You can't stay in rooms that require you to make yourself smaller forever. You can't perform happiness you don't feel. You can't pretend the emperor is dressed when you can clearly see he is naked. That's not stubbornness. That's sight. And sight is terrifying to those who have built their entire lives on carefully constructed blindness. The difference you've always felt isn't isolation. It's elevation. You were never below the crowd. You were seeing from a vantage point they hadn't climbed to yet. And the loneliness you felt wasn't emptiness. It was the sacred space being held open for your true purpose to fill. You were different because you were designed to be. Part 3. The ancestors who live inside your blood. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine the line. Not a family tree with names and dates. Something older, something more real, a living chain of human beings stretching back further than you can see, each one carrying something forward to you. Your great-grandmother who survived what should have been unsurvivable, her mother who buried children and kept walking, her father who built something with his hands in the ruins of what came before, back and back and back. Thousands of years of human beings who loved, who bled, who prayed, who rose, who fell and rose again, all of them threading their essence through time toward this single point. You. This is not poetry. This is science and spirit converging. Every adaptation your ancestors made to survive hardship changed the biological architecture of the people who came after them. The resilience they developed under pressure became structural. The wisdom they earned through suffering became encoded. The prayers they sent into the darkness left an imprint on reality that hadn't finished reverberating. You carry their unfinished stories. You carry their unanswered prayers. You carry the dreams they never got to live, not as a burden, but as a blueprint. When you feel that pull towards something greater, that is not ego. That is ancestry speaking. That is the collective voice of everyone who came before you, whispering, "We survived so you could thrive. We endured so you could transcend. We planted seeds in frozen ground, and you are the spring they were waiting for." Your bloodline has known darkness, deep darkness, generational darkness, the kind that makes people forget who they are and where they come from. But darkness doesn't destroy the flame. It reveals who is willing to protect it. And someone in your line always protected it. Always. Even when everything said, "Let it die," someone cupped their hands around the last ember and breathed. You are proof that they succeeded. You are the evidence that love survives extinction. Your existence is not an accident. It is the answer to a prayer spoken centuries before you were born.
Part 4. The awakening that is already happening to you. You didn't find this video. This video found you. And if you're still here, if you haven't scrolled, haven't clicked away, haven't dismissed it as too intense or too much, then the awakening is already underway. You don't begin the process of waking up by choosing to. You begin it by no longer being able to sleep. Something has been shifting in you, maybe for months, maybe for years. A growing restlessness, a pulling away from things that used to satisfy you, a deepening hunger for something real, something true, something that matches the size of what you feel inside. old friendships that no longer fit, old goals that suddenly feel hollow, a version of your life that looks fine from the outside but aches from the inside. That ache is not depression. That ache is evolution. The chosen ones go through an unraveling before the becoming. Everything that was built on false foundation has to come down. Everything that was chosen from fear instead of truth has to be released. It feels like losing. It looks like falling apart. It is neither. It is the tomb emptying. Before the resurrection, there is always 3 days in the dark. Before the breakthrough, there is always the breakdown. Before the new identity steps forward, the old one has to dissolve completely. And that dissolution is terrifying because you don't yet see what's waiting on the other side. But you can feel it, can't you? Something enormous, something worthy, something that makes all the suffering make sense. You are not at the end of your story. You are at the turning point. The moment every hero's journey builds toward, the moment the character stops running from their power and turns around to face it, the moment they stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What am I being prepared for?" The answer is already forming in your life. Look at the doors closing. Look at the people leaving. Look at the opportunities that felt like failures but created unexpected openings. The universe is clearing the path. Your next chapter is not small. Walk toward it. Here is what I need you to hear, deeply, permanently. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late, and you are not too much. You are precisely where the journey required you to be in order to become who you were always meant to be. The bloodline you come from is ancient. It is powerful. It is holy in the oldest sense of that word, set apart, called, carrying something the ordinary world cannot produce and cannot contain. Every scar has made you unbreakable. Every loss has made you unafraid. Every moment of isolation has made you self-sourced in a world of people who need constant approval just to know they exist. You don't need permission anymore. Not from your family, not from your past, not from the version of yourself that survived by staying small. That version served you. Now it's time to outgrow it. The tomb is empty. The grave clothes are folded. The stone has been rolled away, not by you, by every trial, every night, every fire you walked through and survived. Walk out. Walk out into the fullness of what you carry. Walk out into the bloodline that has been waiting for you to claim it. Walk out into the life that was always supposed to be yours. The world has been waiting for the version of you that finally believes it. Subscribe, because your awakening is just beginning, and so is this channel.